switch me over, Coco? Yeah, there. Okay. I think that works better. Yep. Okay, so we've got the King of Swords and the Hierophant. Okay, so the King of Swords and the Hierophant. So it's putting the truth out about the deep state and what they wanted to do. So truth about the deep state. That's what the whole thing with bringing out the, like this is something that they were going to do. They were always going to march us towards digital ID. So if they don't like your socials, and they're already shutting down people for not liking their socials, but you wouldn't be able to get bread and milk. You wouldn't be able to go to a doctor. You wouldn't be able to, not that I don't recommend anyone goes to doctors anymore anyway, and I've long since said that. But I'm not a medical expert, okay? But you wouldn't be able to use any kind of right now available services of any kind. Okay, you wouldn't be able to switch your lights on. If they didn't like what you were doing socially and or social media wise, and they could track it all with your digital ID. So it would be a disaster. And it could also lock people into the 15-minute cities. Of course, we know what those, the prisons. So you'd be a prisoner. Okay, so it's pulling the truth out about it. Right now, it's just sitting there in that precarious position with everyone yelling about it. And it's good because it's bringing a lot of UKers out and protesting and saying no to it and really speaking up against it. So in a way, it's really good. Now, here we've got the Fool. So the outcome is the Fool, which is a stepping away from something. Okay, so the Fool steps away. I feel like I've been saying, it gets right up to the 11th hour and then in a really unique way gets taken off the table. And it has something to do with things Trump's doing out there in the world, news about Trump and the White Hats, something to do with that. Okay, but it's very unique how it gets taken off the table. So it doesn't actually get implicated in the UK. Now, second question to it is, will it come to Canada, like even as just a scare tactic? Because of course, like I said, that Carney Fool was actually in the UK, gallivanting around with, the UK Starmer Fool. So yeah, are they going to pull that scare? Because at this point, it would just be a scare. But are they going to go all the way and do that? Okay, because we're getting a little sick of the scares, right? Okay, let's have a look. So certainly been played around with, right? Like it looks like it's coming right over here. Okay, so I feel like they'll do things and put things out there to get the public to think it's inevitable. So they're absolutely going to. Then it gets shut down by something that happens, and it looks like the war really comes out. So something happens in the world that really puts the war in focus. So in other words, the actual war we're in, people start to realize we're in a war. I mean, this group already does, of course, but everybody realizes. And I feel like that ends the talk of it. But yeah, they will to some degree, maybe not to the 11th hour like they did in the UK here, but to some degree, because that's an 80% card. So they're going to work towards scaring us about it. Yes. Okay, let's move on from that question and let's ask, why is the Trump team meeting with the generals? Okay, so some things were put out that, what's this guy's name? Hegseth? Hegseth. Anyway, that guy that you see up there was putting these tweets out that they're going to meet with, so himself and Trump and the Trump team are going to meet with really high up generals, and a whole lot of them actually. And the last time something like that happened, people are saying, and I don't know if this is true, but it's been circulated in the truther community that the last time that happened and those kind of level of generals were all called together in one place, it would have been because of a world war that they were trying to avoid or getting into. Okay, so this is pretty scary. A lot of people are getting worried about it. Like, what is it, just a meet and greet with these guys? What kind of calm is it? Some people think there might be like the war of the world's going to happen over our heads. You know, we've got October upon us. So could this be something to do with Three Eye Atlas or interesting things coming from other dimensions? Like, what are we looking at here? Are we talking war with Russia, China? Okay, because we know they've been scaring us with that. Iran, like, what is the signal here with the generals? Okay, so we've got the 10 of, so this is about the whole world, so something that involves the whole world. And then we've got the 4 of Pentacles, so I feel like it's not time to tell everything, but whatever the meeting's going to be about, it'll involve the world, but they're not ready to divulge everything about that meeting just yet. We've got this 9. So things are really like in this war we're in, I feel like we're really getting to that end finally, where not that the whole thing goes away, but in fact that it becomes really clear to everybody that we have been in one. Okay, that would be brilliant. And also just letting everybody in on what's been going on in the background, not just the truthers doing all the hard work, figuring it all out. So I feel like with that 9 of Wands, we're getting close to that time. Okay, we're in the time. We're in the storm is really upon us. And here we've got that 4 of Pentacles, but we don't get to know exactly what they're all getting together, but it's definitely something to do with something that'll affect all humans. So it's not just for show. I think they really do need to get these guys together. In the past, though, it has been for show, but this one in particular feels real. Okay, but they have, the movie has been rolling, and but I feel like they really are gathering these guys up, and I feel like a lot of these guys are in fact white hat and alliance players. That was said early on in this whole thing when Q first started posting. And I feel like, yeah, it's true. Okay, so here we've got that Ace of Wands in the near future. So something will come out of it, and it'll take at least the public in a direction. So we're going to publicly have something to go with. Something will be put out in the news after the event of these guys all meeting, and it'll take us in a direction. We'll probably clearly see a new direction with this card here, because an Ace of Wands, it's a new creative direction, okay, that'll come out of the meeting, but they won't literally tell us what was said or done in the meeting, okay? But none of this looks like War of the Worlds or alien wars per se, not what I'm getting here anyway. And here we've got the 9. Okay, that's interesting. So all of it looks like it's carefully leading us to freedom and sovereignty from deep state. So it has something to do with the war. It's not necessarily for everybody's eyes yet, but it's about protecting all of humanity. Okay, we'll get some information on the outside of this. So afterwards, I would say in the next month, we're going to hear something, maybe even sooner, maybe even the week after or something. Okay, but I don't think we're going to get the full picture of what was said there or what was being done, but it looks like it has something to do with the war that we're fighting against the deep state. So I'm not really getting it like they're preparing for that world war that would be happening in the skies. So in other words, other dimensional or alien beings, or like a lot of those, that kind of talk's going around. I don't really get that. I get this is more about the war we're actually in right now. So the information war that we're the spiritual war we're in right now. I think they need to get them together for that. And also it could be a way to start preparing the people that we've been in a war. Okay, so that I feel like it's also leading into a preparation for, real disclosure in the near future. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Somebody was asking, likely a UK audience member, because there's so much going on in the UK. Just like I said, like in those little zodiac or those readings I did day by day here, I feel like a lot was happening in the UK, and this person's asking. That's why I'm really going to honor these questions from the UK, because all eyes are on the UK right now with that digital ID thing. But what they're asking is when Starmer, not if, but when Starmer is taken out, because we know he's like absolutely on his way out, right? And of course he's a capitulated probably actor, actually wearing a mask kind of thing. But anyway, when he's taken out, who replaces him? Is it going to be more acting and more are we going to see more of these creeps and they're playing out more of the scenario? Do we need a guy even worse than Starmer to replace? Like, that would be brutal if that's the case, and I hope that's not the case. Or are we going to start seeing somebody who's actually there to improve things? Let's have a look. Yeah, it does look like he goes down in a big burning crash, right? So it's like it's happening right now as we speak. Oh boy. Yeah, and they've been working towards it for a really long time. But look at this, is the regular folks, not the truthers. This is the regular folks in the UK, and they're red hot angry at this guy. Okay, and he's not going to be able to stand. Like he's done his job really well exposing the WEF. Okay, he's done a fantastic job. The guy should get an Emmy anyway for his or whatever those awards are. He should get an award for what is it, a Grammy, an Emmy? I can't remember, but he should get an award for his acting. Like he's been brilliantly an asshole. Excuse my language. Okay, so look at that. Okay, so I feel like whoever's next, it could even be that, wow, somebody really independent, or UK goes in a really independent direction. I wonder what that means, right? I don't see a particular person even. I feel like it'll take a while between when Starmer's pulled down and then a whole different kind of government's created. Okay, so it feels like Starmer's the end of the teaching and the exposing of these guys. They're not going to use another guy like him. It looks like we go in the direction of where we actually get to know we've been, in this war, and regular folks are going to get to know they've been actually, taken down the deep state in the back end all of this time. And I feel like, because that's what the regular folks are going to know, and that's a sovereign card. So people get to understand that they've actually been freed from something through a lot of hard work in truthers, a lot of hard work in digital soldiers, and a lot of hard work in White Hat Alliance. Okay, yeah, wow. Okay, so I don't think they'll have to put up with another creep like Starmer or worse, Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, financial reprieve for humans. Okay, that's a big question. That's a good one. Yeah, so many people are in, like really bad shape financially, and every paycheck's getting less and less, and or your money's worth less and less. There's that. And of course, not only the US dollar, Canadian dollars tanked. Like it's outrageous. Okay. It's like half of the US dollar, and the US dollars in really bad shape. So yeah, it's really bad. And just all over the world, people's financial situations are just dreary. And I'm hearing about it. I'm getting emails about it. Yeah, nobody can help but see it, right? It's crazy out there. So let's have a look at what can we expect and how soon will this turn around? Okay, because if there really is this war going on, there's got to be a turnaround on this at some point, right? And for years I've seen there was, but let's have a checkup on that. Okay, so we've got the Two of Cups here. Yeah, so this is how bad, and it was headed in even a worse. I feel like 80% of us would be dead if really the pandemic went as planned, right? But it got stepped into, and a lot of the agendas got stepped into, thank goodness, by Trump White Hat Alliance. I really believe that. And the Q operation really helped to wake a lot of people up. So a lot of people who otherwise might have been talked into getting the jabs didn't, right? So thank goodness, okay? And then started spreading the word. And, also I think they took out a lot of the lethal ones. Like they couldn't stop the rollout maybe, but they took out the lethal one. So I feel like the whole thing got taken down, way down to how devastating it could have been. And I feel like that's what that card's all about. Like we wouldn't even probably be here, or 80% of us wouldn't even be here. Okay, so there's that. And then let's see. So yeah, so the financial situation, the way it stands, they might not have been counting on it being what it looks like, because all these people everybody would be too busy burying their dead. Okay, yeah. Humanity would be so devastated that we wouldn't even be asking this question. I believe that's what the plan was. So now in the free fall, it does look like it's been thought about. Okay, so there's been things done under cover and in the background, in the back channels that are going to help us. Okay, and groups have come together. Okay, so humanity is not just going to be left hanging on the wire and out in the cold with nothing. Okay, when the banks collapse, and they're already collapsing. It's not even when, it's as they collapse. Your dollar's worth less and less. Silver and gold are going up. We know what that means. And it's not happening as fast as we thought it would, but it is happening. It's actually a good thing it's not happening as fast. I feel like it's been slowed down so people can manage the situation. I really think that. Okay, so interesting. I feel like there's been things, but there's been things done in the background that'll really help people. And even by next April, we're going to see those things coming into play between now and next April. And I'm not saying it'll take all the way till next April, but I feel like by then, everybody knows what's been put in place in the back channels, but there still will be some time of discomfort. So make sure you can make yourself as comfortable as you can and doing as many things as you can now to make yourself comfortable, because it might be all the way into the new year. And it's looking like April before we really see things rolled out all over the world that are helping people get back on their feet. And I know there's a plan in place, and it still looks like there is. Okay, so that's good news, but there is going to be some level of discomfort. This isn't devastating though, but it's absolutely necessary, unfortunately. And I feel like maybe it's necessary for these guys to finally, the ones that haven't been paying attention, to never go sleepy again. Do you know what I mean? Because sleeping on the job of being a human, just a bad idea. Letting your government and your officialdom take care of business, being on their tit or whatever, however that saying is, absolutely a bad idea. Okay, just not a good recipe for future generations. Okay, what else do we got? Okay, the med bed. So there's a video put out. It was AI, but it was put out on Donald Trump's Truth Social. Now, interesting, it was taken down not too long after it was put up. And it was an AI video, okay, AI generated, and the voice on it was supposed to be Trump's, but I didn't find it sounded a lot like Trump's. But I mean, of course, they got doubles and people playing Trump. And I had a suspicion that it might be a fake, like somebody might have hijacked the Truth Social, or maybe they put it up as a comm. I had a feeling it wasn't trying to say there's going to be med beds in hospitals. And I know you guys, some of you might not like me saying that, but I'm just going to say I've never got that there's a system in place like what they're describing here. Okay, so I've never got it in the cards, and I follow what my cards say. So I hope I'm wrong about that. Okay, I hope I'm wrong about that. But I've been getting that there will be new technologies. There already is all kinds of them, actually, that will help us heal ourselves. And it's going to take personal work and a desire to self-love. And yeah, it's going to take a lot more than just stepping into a bed and coming out perfect. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just don't buy it. But anyway, I could be wrong about that. So why was that up there? Was that, first of all, did Trump's team put that up? Was that something that was put up by the Trump team? Because it's a whole team running the Trump socials, okay? It's not Trump himself sitting there tweeting things and or putting stuff up, okay? It's a huge team. I mean, it's a 24-hour job, okay? And I know he doesn't sleep much, but I doubt if real Trump is doing all the tweets and posting, okay? Like, you got to think about that, okay? Yeah, and it's a huge operation, okay, what's going on. It's huge. It's a big war we're in. Okay, let's have a look. Who put that up? Did they? Was that legit? And why? See if we can get a why on that too. Okay, we got the 9. Okay, this is similar to what I got. This is similar to what I got when I did it on the public show there with Jean-Claude. Oh boy. Okay, so, and we've got an ace in the middle. So it's made to look like, I don't know if he did. I feel like somebody in the general vicinity put it up, like somebody who had some kind of access to his socials. So that's interesting, right? And they thought they were doing a good thing. I actually think he didn't literally. I think he's the one that said, take her down. I feel like it wasn't necessarily like, let's say this. I feel like eventually it could be known that somebody else put it up there, but they condoned it in a way because there is a good message to it. Okay, maybe the good message gives people hope that there's something coming that's beyond. Okay, so it feels like they didn't literally put it up there, but they decided, oh yeah, we'll leave it up for a little while. And whoever put it up thought they were doing good. Okay, maybe that the person that put it up really believed that video, okay, for one thing. And also with the devil and the hermit, I feel like it was the alliance that decided, no, we got to take this down, okay, because it's technically not, I don't feel like it's technically true, not with this card representing it. Right. And then, so a lot of people saw it and it moved them, and now they might be going down rabbit holes because of it. And that could be a good thing. Okay. People need to move away from thinking their only option is hospitals, medical system, and pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean? And now we're not talking truthers and everybody watching truthers. We're talking the general population here, and they need to move and open their mind a little bit to these. And I feel like it did serve that, but it wasn't put up directly by the Trump team, and it got taken down for that reason. But they didn't mind that it was up for that short amount of time. I feel like it did some good, so they kind of ran with it. All right, interesting. But it wasn't the bad guys that hijacked it. It was somebody well-meaning on the Trump team. So that's interesting. That is interesting. It also shows you there's a lot of people tweeting on behalf of Trump. And so that's really interesting. Okay, yeah, I think that's all we got for you today, guys. They're being oogled as females and taking all the limelight and spotlight, and also having, there's a bunch of young women trying to starve themselves or lift weights and starve themselves at the same time, trying to look like those people who they could never build the kind of muscle mass. It's not natural for women, and their belly button's never going to be in that place. Okay, and they're never going to have those lines defining their belly and legs. What are those called? There's a name for that. They're not going to have that because just the way the legs meet the belly there. I forget. There's a name for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only on men. And meanwhile, women are trying to get that line. It's like that men have that, not women.
Mm-hmm.
Like our bellies hang a little lower, and they're defined differently. Like it's just horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
That our young girl, like I had a daughter, starved herself for years trying to look like a boy.
Wow.
Because the fashion industry, it's everywhere, wants you to look like that. And when you're young and impressionable, you don't know any better. She was about maybe grade 7. So that would be what, 12, something, 13.
Mm-hmm.
And she was that perfect age where they're starting to round up a little, become more feminine. And she was horrified. She didn't want any of those curves. And she literally starved herself, would shower in the dark. I remember the first time I really went, okay, something's wrong here with my daughter, is the lights would be off and I could hear the shower. And I'd be like, are you in there showering in the dark? She couldn't even look at herself because she didn't like her budding curves and breasts, etc. She was horrified. Okay, so of course, she wouldn't go the route of, she wouldn't have known about puberty blockers, but a lot of them are doing that route and or using pharmaceuticals to block so they don't become that feminine form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so sad to watch your young women hate their bodies and hate themselves because the whole world tells them to, basically.
Right. Yeah, it is a really big issue. I even saw when I went to school, in elementary school, high school, a lot of my friends had eating disorders because they're so programmed to be super, super skinny.
Yeah. So we're just looking at what the universe says. Well, the first thing it says is it looks like that's moving in a more positive direction now.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the now, and it looks like we're moving out of that direction. And there's things going on maybe that we're not seeing that are moving us out of that direction. Well, I hope so. That's what I was wanting to find out today. Is some of this being dismantled in the background? Because we know that there's been some really big fashion houses that have been called out for this, but also for trafficking children through their ads and etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then big fashion icon in Canada there, I forget his name, but known to be kind of a Jeffrey Epstein of a sort, and hosting really disgusting parties and just a pedophile, and a trafficker likely of humans.
Trying to find what that guy's name was.
Yeah, somebody will tell us in the comments, but
let us know in the comments.
Yeah, see the near future outcome. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. So there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes we don't see, or the public certainly doesn't see. This community might see it more than the public does. Okay, this is what the public's seeing, and then all of a sudden they're going to see a big switch around where it's and I'm not talking about the ads where now they're glorifying. So they do the opposite. So they got the skinny boy figures, and then they're glorifying obesity and huge rolling women that are obviously unhealthily large. And I'm not talking about that either. Okay, so I'm not talking about glorifying either ends of the spectrum. I'm talking about just a natural, normal figure and finding the beauty in natural, normal figures of healthy females. Okay. So either of those other spectrums we just talked about are unhealthy. Okay. And I'm not criticizing that. I don't like they got that way, those obese women. got that way, and they even would call my figure obese, actually, like, you know what I mean. But a lot of that comes from the food. We've been like how the food's processed, and so I'm not trying to shame either side. If you're a really skinny woman and you're naturally couldn't put on a pound to save your life, that's absolutely the way you are, and that's wonderful. And there's an absolute spectrum of beauty there, all the way to really large women. But when they're only showing you either this huge obesity, that's another trend, or
Mhm.
real skinny, but there's nothing about just a natural healthy woman in the middle. All the spectrums of that, and all the different varying figures that could be the feminine and real women, and not guys parading around as women. And being paid as women models, and the public think of them as women. That's where I get offended. So if they were parading around in a trans ad, and they were absolutely being honest about these are trans men to women, and here's what their fashion sense is, and they want to show you what they got. Great, because then you know what you're dealing with. But when they're actually parading them around as actual women, that's where it's dangerous. That's the line where it gets dangerous, because you're being lied to, and your young girls aren't knowing that they don't have the wherewithal to understand that they could never have that figure, and they'll never have those shoulders like this. Okay, because guess what? Their skeleton's different, and that's okay. There's beauty in it. We have to find the beauty in women again, and the feminine. It's just so sad, but it does look like it all of a sudden switches, where all of a sudden, just like I always get that the media will all of a sudden. It's not like they'll get a public takedown per se. It's more like all of a sudden their tune changes, and it's already starting, by the way. And I feel like that'll happen in the fashion industry too. It'll a big switcheroo, and then it won't even be okay to have trans parading as women as models, and all of a sudden all of those agendas get yanked out, it looks like. And it's already, it looks like it's already happening in the background. It looks like that's already being planned for, and it'll be a huge wake-up call to a lot of people who actually believe or believed that those models in Victoria's Secret were all women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And just so everybody knows, the fashion designer you were referring to, Janine, Peter Nygaard, right? Former Canadian fashion mogul, huge deal in the fashion industry. Peter Nygaard sentenced to 11 years for sexual assault. And I think you said sex trafficking as well. And look at how creepy he looks. This is just a little picture, but let me zoom in there. I mean, these guys look creepy. He looks like Jimmy Savile, even.
Yeah,
there's a
he does.
Super creepy. And, you know, it's like you said, Janine, maybe not every single model in the world is trans. We're not saying that. Oops, what did I just do there? Sorry. Yeah, sorry, guys. So we're not saying every single woman out there is trans, but we're honest. We're coming out of a system right now of these dark arts elites that practice Satanism. Okay, that's going on. There's whistleblowers that have talked about it. It's pretty obvious by now that that's what they're doing. And part of the Satanism or dark arts, whatever you want to call it, is inversion, right? And inversion of everything. You look at everything in the world and it's absolutely inverted. So of course it makes common sense that there's going to be a whole lot of women that were being shown that are not actually women, right? And we're inverted, like you said, Janine, of what is a beautiful woman, which the truth is there's all kinds of women. There's skinny women, there's curvy women, there's, you know, bigger women. Jay Leah in the chat says Marilyn Monroe was said to be a size 12. Interesting. I didn't know that. Women were more meaty back in the 50s and the 60s. They were voluptuous. It's interesting. When I see pictures of the 50s and the 60s, Janine, people do look like their bodies were a different shape. And like you said, probably has to do with the hormones or the chemicals in the water, the food, like even women, the curves look different, or people that were fatter, for lack of a better term, just the way they look different. Do you get what I'm saying, Janine? Like people just look different now.
And they were shorter too, like it seems to me. So it's got to be something we're eating and Yeah. It's like,
Right. It's so weird.
yeah.
And it's so funny that we're having this theme of the divine feminine this week, Janine, because in the astrology of this week, we have so many different exact aspects with Venus. This is actually the one week out of the whole year. We've got, I think it's 4 exact aspects with Venus. So Venus is actually making really positive aspects to Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and an opposition to Pluto, which is actually exact today. So we could see even this week, I mean, we're doing it right now in today's show, but more in the public eye in the news, a major exposing, Pluto is exposing in the public eye, Venus in Leo of a woman, right? And we're going to that Pluto and Aquarius transit, which Aquarius is trans, alternative things, experiments. So I wonder if maybe this has to do with the Brigitte Macron story. I mean, Candace Owens, I haven't watched every video that she's put out on this. Have you seen any of her series, Janine, on Brigitte? Yeah,
I've been keeping a close eye on it.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I need to catch up with that.
And you want
But-
to know a little twist to that?
For sure.
Some people believe the original Candace Owens was a male to female. And right now, the person playing her part is a 2.0 and maybe doing it. She's the one putting it out there because that was part of her history and maybe not even her choice if that happened to her as a young child or a baby infant, because this is what they do. They take people in these families that are somehow signed up to the cult or practice, or they're the 13 bloodline families, and they invert 1 or 2 of the kids, sometimes all of them, sometimes just the firstborn, sometimes all the boys, like things like that, depends. But it's like a sacrifice of sorts. So some people believe Candace Owens was actually the same thing and didn't have any of those children she claims to have had. And earlier pictures of her are fairly interesting. In her childhood pictures, she looks exactly like a boy. But that doesn't mean, I mean, people can look like boys. But it is just interesting that she's the one outing this person who's obviously a male. And the really heinous thing about this isn't just that this person has been pretending to be a female, and they're public figures. And so they're not saying this is a trans person. They're saying this is a woman. Okay. So they fooled the public, and who knows what you got to look at. Where's their agendas and where do they stop the lies and begin the lies? Okay. If they're public figures and they're parading themselves around as the opposite of what they were born, so that right away the suspect is that, so they're a cult family. They might be Satan worshipers. Now they're leading countries. And even if they're not Satan worshipers and they aren't from the occult families, they're lying to you about who they are in a deep level. And maybe all of their focus is going to be on the trans community and communities, focuses that you don't know they'd be invested in if they're coming from lifestyles that support that kind of behavior. Right. So you voted for someone, you thought they were this, but they're exactly the opposite. And where's their values, right? They're going to be different than yours because you thought they were just a normal family. When in fact, what Candace actually unraveled is that this is likely, not only is that a way older male, but in fact, the father of the guy himself, his own dad, potentially. And there's good evidence that's the case. And so it's like, what?
It's absolutely disgusting when you hear it. I think I remembered why I stopped watching it, because I needed to just take a little mental health break. Like, what? Okay. At first, I thought that this was just, she was a dude. And then you find out, oh my God, this could be the father. So it's so disgusting. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen that great series that Candace Owens has done, and interesting, Janine, I haven't heard that theory yet about her. That's absolutely fascinating. That ties into my next question. Could we ask the cards, is there a way to ask what percentage at the present time of women in the public eye are actually born males. I guess we could put it that way. Is this like most of them, half of them, less than half of them?
Well, they've been suppressing the feminine. So this could be like a celebration of the feminine in that too. So it's mostly the women that are inverted. So even the way you said the question, that's how you're asking it too.
Right.
Now we've got, because there's also female to male, but mostly women. So that's mostly the thing there. It's like they're trying to take it out of the equation, the feminine out of the equation. Okay. And then we've got the 3 of Swords here. So the public are definitely not ready to hear this. And they're going to take their time, just, like this is going to creep into our awareness here, but 50% under here. So that's pretty large. Yeah, and I don't think past October, they're going to be able to get away with anybody saying they're not if they are. I feel like this, a lot of things come out. You're going to know most of it. I'd say you got a 50% chance looking at public figures if they're actually the sex they say they are.
Wow. And what do you think, Janine? Is it important for us to figure this out, or is there a way that we could just tell? I guess we could just use our personal intuition, looking at some of these people that, musicians we may like, or actors we may like to watch. I mean, I don't really want to be supporting anybody that's pretending who they are. That's pretty messed up to me.
Yeah,
I don't like
if they want to support the trans community, they need to be outed as trans people.
Yeah.
And don't try to call yourself this or that when you're not. You're a whole different thing you created, okay?
Mm-hmm.
With pharmaceuticals, okay, and doctors' scalpel. You made yourself something else, okay? Or you were made into something. In the case of these cult families, this is what's the horrific part is. It's child abuse. They're taking their children and turning them in. We see it in like Sandra Bullock, who's a guy, okay, according to the cards. A guy, okay, and has children, of course, adopted them, and they're, of course, not her kids, of course, but and is parading them around as inverted their sex, like adopted them as one sex, and then they're not even like 10 and inverted their sex already. So by the time they were 4 and 5, it now paraded them around as a different sex. Like it's absolutely child abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is child abuse. It's absolutely nuts. So use your discernment, you guys. And you guys are really smart in the live chat today. A lot of you guys, I don't know if you're seeing this, Janine, but they're talking about all the different ingredients to watch out for. Ellie says all those soy and corn fields turn into real crops of food and hemp. Yeah, the soy and corn, that can really mess with our hormones. We're just... There's inversion literally in every single direction. And I'm so grateful that we're living in times where this is all being exposed. Want to bring another astrological element into this, Janine. These slides that I'm sharing is from a recent lecture that I did. And it's about the recent astrological ages. And this ties into the inversion of the divine feminine, the disrespect of the divine feminine. So the past 12,000 years, according to the greater astrological ages in the sidereal zodiac, we've been in a dark age, if you will, since the fall of Atlantis, which happened at the beginning of the last age of Leo. And that lasted 2,000 years, where we were still very connected to divine masculine and divine feminine in kind of the positive aspects. Since Atlantis, of course, that fell and there were negative things, but it was still a very magical time. That's when we had a golden age. We were coming out of a golden age. There were beautiful sacred sites being built, like the Sphinx was probably built around that time, and many different old sites. And then between 8,000 to 6,000 BC, we were in the last age of Cancer, great age of Cancer. And Cancer, as you know, Janine, is one of the signs that rules the divine feminine. And during that time, we still have a lot of moon worship. There was still a respect of the divine feminine. There were curvy woman statues found worldwide. So, when you had female depictions of the feminine, very rarely would there be, a very skinny woman. It would be kind of the, I don't like to use the word worship, but the honoring of, the breasts and the curviness, which symbolize fertility, right, and pregnancy and those feminine superpowers. Then we digressed further and further into age of materialism, into age of Gemini, age of Taurus, and in recent astrological ages, the age of Aries, right before the age of Pisces, which we're in right now and we're coming out of, age of Aries is the age of man and the divine masculine. So the height, the absolute height of basically the fuck you, if you will, to the divine feminine was during this last age of Aries, 2000 BC to 180. This is when we had huge masculine power, loss of feminine in power structures, wars all over the world, empires. And I know, Janine, there's a lot of BS in the history, but we can see that, there were very big, great militaries and masculine power. And even, I don't know, Janine, if you've ever visited some sacred sites where they've taken off like hieroglyphs, or I've been to sacred sites where men have literally taken off hieroglyphs or symbols to take away the feminine aspect of it. To take out statues. And I mean, so a lot of that went on in the age of Aries. And now we're in the end of the age of Pisces, thank God, but we're still, with astrological ages, we can still have a little bit of the influence from the previous one. So we're still a little bit in the influence of the age of Aries coming out of that. At the end of the age of Pisces, of all these lies and brainwashing and mind control and victimhood coming to light. So thank God for that. And entering now the age of Aquarius, which interesting, Janine, and I'd love you to pull some cards on this. To me, and I'd like to know what you think, but to me, the age of Aquarius is kind of like the star card. Well, it is the star card, that's an Aquarian related star, tarot card rather, where it looks feminine, but it also could be masculine. That's how I interpret it. It's like the balance of the two, not in a transgender way, but it's kind of the equality of those two forces, the sign of Aquarius. So I kind of interpret that as in this age of Aquarius, as we're going back into a 12,000 year light age, it's the balancing out of those two dualities of the masculine and the feminine. Do you resonate with that, Janine? What do you feel before we pull cards on that, on this now coming out of age of Aries, age of Pisces into age of Aquarius?
So you were just talking about the star card, right?
Right.
Yeah, even though there's a clear feminine figure in it, the energy of it is definitely a nice balance. But I agree that we're going to balance out. I think one of the things that we're aspiring to as a humanity is that we balance out and find the sacred in both again, because they're sacred, both of them, and they're needed, because you cannot make a child without an actual male and a female, even if you do it outside and you're using a petri dish and you're because now they know how to do this, but you need the egg from the woman and the sperm from the male. So it's still like it's a divine alchemy that's creating an actual human here. Okay, so there's the star card. And before I go on, maybe you could chat about that star card a bit. I'm just going to grab something real quick here and show you guys something I got right in my office, and I just can't resist showing it to you.
Yeah, definitely. So the star card, I mean, that's, for me personally, that's one of my most favorite tarot cards, where I love the high vibration of it. Of course, it represents star, outer space, astrology, higher dimensional energies. And it's a very mysterious tarot card because, as Janine and I have been talking about, there's this beautiful figure in it, in between the stars, in between the higher realms and the earth and the water, that kind of looks like it could be, at least this is my interpretation, it could be masculine or it could be feminine. And Janine talks a lot about this card has a vulnerability aspect to it as well. So I feel it's a lot about higher energies. Oh, Janine's back. Oh, beautiful.
So
Wow.
can you tell that that's that Venus statue?
Yes, that's so cool.
And it's got the word Venus. So I painted that.
You painted that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I just thought it was fun because you showed that sculpture.
That is
I was so inspired by the sculpture that I thought, you know what? Yeah, I got to paint her. And I absolutely love, like when I paint, I paint voluptuous women. You better believe it. And I love the figure and the feminine figure. And in fact, so much so, like I've done huge shows with all like figurative women. And I did a whole show on all of these different women bringing their different, like the faces of Eve, I called it. Anyways, I got a big following in the art world, like in my little tiny corner of it, from women who love women, right? So I got a big rep that I must be a lesbian. I'm in fact not a lesbian, but I absolutely love the feminine figure and I appreciate it. And I love to paint women.
Janine, that is, can you just show that painting? Like my mind is absolutely blown. You are an amazing artist. What the heck? That's beautiful.
It's oil stick.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do you still paint, or is that something that you haven't done?
I'm hoping to start again because I got some studio space here really close by. So I want to utilize, and where I painted that was on Haida Gwaii many years ago. So it's very inspiring here. I've painted lots here on Haida Gwaii. So I'm hoping that inspirational energy comes back while I'm living here again. So I give myself permission to paint absolutely again. And I'm bold and like that. That's the kind of work I do. So.
Oh my God. If you ever make prints, I'm buying a print. That's like,
right on.
And I love that statue too. Whenever I see it, it's weird. I've had a lot of synchronicities with that statue lately. It's kind of weird. It's very special. Very, very beautiful.
Right on.
Cool. Anyway. So what we were talking about? We were talking about the star card. What does that resonate what I was saying about that, Janine, or do you feel like that star card has like leans more towards certain gender?
I kind of get it. A little bit maybe nodding to our otherworldly roots or other dimensional roots, and isn't absolutely specific. I would say that was true, even though there's breasts there. Yeah. But there's just a feeling to the whole card that you don't. It's more about vulnerability. It's more about a spiritual essence and trust. Yeah, there's an idea of trusting in it. Like you need to really be trusting to be in nature fully naked like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't think it's definitive of either sex, but it can bring both of them into it.
Yeah, definitely. Could we maybe look at some cards in terms of moving forward as we get closer and closer into entering this age of Aquarius? What will women's fashion and kind of makeup industry look like without the dark arts cult control of it?
I don't think it'll change right away. Things are in motion. So this card's like things under the surface. So seeds have been planted to change it already. And I feel like that was the White Hat Alliance, the work they're doing, not specifically on this, but just in clearing the swamp and cleaning up the influence of these deep staters, these culters, right? So just even bringing it to our knowing, people will stop looking at it the same way and putting these figures on, like trying to aspire to them when they realize they were never real in the first place. We've all been lied to, all of that. Like they're always like think about Catherine with Catherine in the UK. So William's wife, and I don't want to call them by their prince and princess titles. I'm not going to do that because I don't believe in anybody's above you with those titles. Yeah. So Catherine, just look at her figure, and she's had three kids, and every time comes out of the hospital looking just as no hips and no weight on ever, like, because it's all fake, because she was very likely sacrificed as a baby, actually, is what I did with the cards, and turned into a female at an early age, probably from birth. Okay, so they puberty block them and all of these things. And when you really look at it, her foot size, how her legs proportion arms to legs, and just there's a bunch of signs. Also, the jaw. It's not just one sign. So you could have a really square jaw as a woman, and you could have really big hands like I do. But if you have 3 or 4 of these things where you have really big feet, your arms are a lot longer. So there's a certain ratio. Arms, where do they come in, like where your hips are and where your arms hang down to it, and how your back is. There has to be a little sway in for a female, whereas the males are coming straight up and down. Also, the way you walk and your legs move, there's all kinds of things. She has all of them. Okay, she's got the really big feet, the big hands. She's got the square jaw. Wears her hair to hide it. Okay, and they know how to hide these things, and she might not have even known that. Do you know what I mean? So It feels to me like they're busy. Well, I don't think she knew it till she was about 17, and then I did a deep dive on her, and she found out, but then she still went along with the program. So as far as I'm concerned, the heck with her. Right, I'm not feeling sorry for her at that point. But see this 7 of Pentacles here? So the seeds have been planted in a way that the public is really starting to become aware of this. Like it's being outed. Okay, and then we've got the 2 of Swords, so they still got more to go. So they're not ready to say it yet. 2 of Swords isn't going to say or print that, things are changing just yet. But a lot of things have been outed that have been hidden from the public. A large amount of the public are still in denial and not seeing it. The near future. So now we've got the 9 of Cups, which is the desire is. Now they're going to be going looking for it. So I feel like the seeds have been planted. And when it feels like the public has a real taste to know the truth, they're going to really tell you straight up, and things will start changing. So I'm going to say in the next, you're going to see really big changes, even by the 3rd month of next year, I'd say. So water sign month of next year, early in that year, I would say that would March. I feel like when people are hungry for the truth of things, a lot of things will change, and it'll change because humanity just won't tolerate it. So those industry will have to change, because if they're still putting trans models and calling them women, people will call them out. But it's only when the public is hungry to know the truth, and they're not there yet. And something's going to change in the next few months. I'm thinking by October, people get hungry after that, angry first and then hungry to know the truth. Things that we've been looking into all along, but all of a sudden they're all looking into too.
Wow, that is absolutely fascinating. Lupo in the chat says, thanks, lovely ladies. I'm loving the show and my mind is blown by Janine's artwork. I know, me too. I'm like absolutely mind blown today by that. So cool.
Yeah.
Well, wow, I think we covered a lot of ground today in today's show, Janine, and something that's going to unfold. It already is unfolding. And like you said, so many people are waking up to what's been going on with this inversion. Before we finish up today's show, want to let you guys know also that Carla at Ascension Organites and her team has the new Double Your Power sale, where you spend $100 or more and you can get any beginner series pyramid for free. That is valid until September 8th. And Janine and I, we both have pyramids from Carla and we love them very, very much. They're awesome for grounding, EMF protection as well. So you can go check that out at the link below. And again, Sunny and I will be talking more in depth about our Starseed Crystal collection on tomorrow's Beyond Crystals. And I think we're joining you and JC for Beyond the News this week as well. So that will be very, very fun. You can check out the new collection at thesparklingshop.com. Janine, any closing words before we finish up?
Just that I can't wait to see a real natural representation of feminine beauty and to honor our women again, where they're not being pushed out of their sport, pushed out of their, like out of the limelight, like taking away everything from us. And yeah, all of this false narrative and falsies, literally, and fake baby bumps. And I'm just done with it all from these supposed elites and 1% demonic element here on the earth plane. I'm just can't wait to see the real women proud, loud and proud again. I had a grandma who had a figure just like that drawing, by the way, exactly like that, because she, I mean, not because, but I mean, it was likely directly related to the fact that she birthed 18 children, so my mom's mom, and 15 of them lived and lived to be full-grown adults, etc. But some of them died just after birth, but birthed 18 children. Okay, and of course her figure, and I'm not recommending people do that unless they really want to, but you know what I mean. She was a Catholic woman and probably was listening to the Pope. I don't think that's probably healthy for your body, but that's what she did. And I knew her in my life to be one of the kindest, loving. She would hug you and like she was fleshy like that, but it was the best hug you ever got in your whole life, and was the most loving example of a female, really strong. Her husband absolutely loved and respected her. She was a Cancer woman, and yeah, her figure was exactly like that statue. I just loved her so much.
Oh my God, that is so cool. So many babies. Oh my goodness.
Chuyện này cũng không hề để ý. Hiện tại vừa nghe giọng nói lo lắng của Hàn Uy, hắn không kịp lau mặt, vội vàng chạy ra hỏi đã xảy ra chuyện gì. Hàn Uy thấp giọng nói: hôm nay trên Kim Điền không biết qua để lệnh mật thư nặc danh buộc tội Lưu Cần, vì không tìm thấy người đưa thư, cho nên văn võ bá quan trong triều, ngoại trừ Lục Bộ, Kiều Khanh và đại thần của Đỗ Sát Viện đều bị Lưu Câu Công bắt hết lại. Hiện Cẩm Minh Vệ đang đưa người vào đại lao hình bộ. Bạch tính kinh sư nghe nói đến ầm ĩ, thương nhân dẹp chợ, học sinh bỏ học, người của Hàn Lâm Viện và Tái Học Viện cổ động bách tính ba vây Cẩm Y Vệ đang áp giải văn võ bá quan, chặn đến nỗi đường xá nghẹt cứng. Quan sai của hình bộ vội đến thông chi cho ta, muốn ta lập tức trở về. Dương Lăng suy nghĩ một chút, lập tức nói: đi, trở về phải gặp mặt hoàng thượng một phen, ta đi cùng với huynh. Hai người vội vàng đến nhà trước, gọi bọn thị vệ Ngũ Hán Siêu phi ngựa thật nhanh đi thẳng về phía kinh thành. Chuyện này là người nào chỉnh Lưu Cẩn? Hiện tại Lưu Cẩn thanh thế rất mạnh, nghiễm nhiên là dưới một người trên vạn người, là người số một kinh thành. Một phái Thanh Lưu bị lão trị cho hoa rơi nước chảy, thế lực của Đỗ Sát Viện đã bị lão đoạt đi hơn phân nửa, vẫn còn người dám lên giọng đối nghịch với lão. Đây chẳng phải là không khác gì thủ pháp lúc đầu của mình bảo Tiền Ninh làm tư liệu trị thọ Ninh Hầu Trương Hằng Linh đó sao? Dương Lăng vừa phóng ngựa như bay, vừa suy nghĩ như chớp. Căn cứ theo tin tức mình nắm được, nhanh chóng phân tích tình thế trong thành. Bỗng nhiên một suy nghĩ lóe lên trong đầu. Không phải là Vận Nhi biết tin thật chết mới sai người làm chứ? Không, tin tức của nàng hẳn sẽ không nhanh như vậy. Ngày thứ 3 ta đã rời núi, dọc đường hồi kinh một khắc cũng không dừng. Tin ta chết đến tai nàng rồi lại phái người vào kinh, vậy phải mất bao nhiêu ngày? Hóa ra ngày hôm đó, Dương Lăng đi ngang vách kê quan, nhìn cảnh tượng bên khe cây cỏ nghiêng ngả, bỗng nhiên phát giác trên sườn dốc có một chút dấu vết bị đập vỡ thành từng đoạn. Tuy không nhiều, nhưng ở một nơi cây cỏ nguyên sơ hàng năm không ai qua lại, nếu lưu ý nhìn thì có thể thấy được một chút, thành ra sẽ cẩn thận hơn. Dương Lăng liền lệnh cho đội quân ngừng đi tới. Sau khi ra mệnh lệnh cho vệ đội nghỉ ngơi tại chỗ, Dương Lăng nhân cơ hội quan sát tình hình xung quanh. Trên dãy kê quan, thời thượng cổ có thể vốn là một hang động lớn, do động đất mãnh liệt hoặc là do vỏ trái đất thay đổi, phân nửa đã sập xuống, chỉ để lại một vách núi và một dãy liên miên những vách núi trông như mái hiên. Vách núi trải qua ngàn vạn năm phong hóa, tuy đã không còn hình dáng dung nham bóng loáng, nhưng vẫn là dốc đứng khó bám. Nhân lúc bốn phía là binh sĩ sinh hoạt tán loạn, Dương Lăng xuống sông quan sát một hồi. Vì thác bạt yên nhiên chỉ cần đặt một ít thuốc nổ, lợi dụng chấn động do sức nổ gây ra khiến cho đỉnh núi sụp đổ, cho nên trên vách đá rơi xuống cũng không nhiều. Đá vụn trực tiếp rơi xuống đều được ba vượng phái người quét dọn ném xuống nước. Đá trực tiếp bắn vào bụi cỏ vốn đã ít, lại còn được cơn mưa ào tới, căn bản không nhìn ra sơ hở gì. Dương Lăng ngẩng đầu lên nhìn vách núi nặng nề kia, vườn cũng không thể leo tới, huống hồ vách núi như cái khay úp ngược, càng không thể có người leo lên. Chẳng lẽ chỉ là lúc người hành hương nghỉ chân nằm gãy? Dương Lăng đi qua rừng trúc đối diện, đi ngoài một chút, vì không có phát hiện cho nên lòng nghi ngờ cũng dần giảm đi. Nhưng một khi một người đã nổi lên sự nghi ngờ đối với một việc thì sẽ nhớ đến chuyện lúc bình thường sẽ bỏ qua. Dương Lăng nghĩ đến lúc đi phúc kiến, nếu như Hà Tham Tướng mai phục trên đường không phải là người của mình, lần mai phục đó mình tất chết không thể nghi ngờ. Lúc đó vẫn chưa ngờ rằng quan nguyên phúc kiến sẽ xuống tay với mình như vậy. Chuyến này đến Tứ Xuyên đắc tội càng nhiều người, Dương Nhiệt Đô trưởng Hân bỏ trốn, thế lực dưới trướng của Trung Nhân Cận. Những kẻ này đều có mối thù khó giải với mình, trên đường có giở trò hay không? Thậm chí hắn còn nghĩ tới Thác Bạt Yên Nhiên. Lúc đưa tiễn ở sân cầu, khi cô ta xoay người, trên thắt lưng còn lộ ra cặp uyên ương xinh đẹp. Trong thư của hai người, cô và Trung Nhân Cận yêu nhau thắm thiết. Cho dù biết người mình yêu là kẻ âm hiểm giả dối, trong lòng đã không còn tình yêu, nhưng cũng sẽ không tìm niềm vui mới khác nhanh như vậy. Còn chiếc khăn uyên ương dấp bên hông cô ta là sao? Cẩn thận thì lái thuyền được vạn dặm, rất nhiều nghi hoặc lóe lên trong đầu. Dương Lăng không khỏi cẩn thận suy xét, thiết tưởng ra đủ thứ khả năng mai phục, ném đá. Đỉnh dốc như cái vòm, người ở dưới vòm đứng trên đỉnh không làm bị thương đợi ai. Phục binh. Con đường này tuy được quan phủ tu sửa, nhưng chỗ rộng nhất cũng chỉ có thể cho hai xe đi song song. Bảy hàng binh sĩ tiến lên, phía trước là tên nhọn đột ngột bắn ra, có thể gây sát thương cho mấy người. Không phải là đất đá muốn tùy yên thất quân chứ. Nghĩ đến đây, bản thân Dương Lăng cũng không nhịn nổi bật cười. Đường mở ra ở dưới núi, bên cạnh là khe suối, rừng cây đối diện có thể càng thấp hơn. Nếu trữ nước xả xuống như lũ, nước vẫn chưa đến đây thì đã chuyển hướng trải vào rừng rồi, cho nên cũng không có khả năng. Mang một chút nghi ngờ theo bản năng, Dương Lăng phái mấy tên thân binh lên núi tìm kiếm, xem có phải có người động tay động chân gì hay không. Tướng lĩnh lãnh binh Lưu Thiên Hổ do Lý Sâm phái đi, thấy đoàn xe thương nhân đi ngang thì đều đi sang gặp mặt. Đại nhân lại chậm chạp không hạ lệnh khởi hành, liền đích thân thỉnh cầu chắp tay nói: "Không sao đại nhân, đã có nghỉ ngơi cũng khá cả rồi. Hiện tại có phải chúng ta nên xuất phát rồi không? Đi muộn sẽ đến tối không đến trấn Giản Khẩu thì chỉ có thể qua đêm trong núi mà thôi." Dương Lăng nói: "Lưu Thiên Hổ chờ một chút, thân minh của ta lên núi thăm dò một chút. Giờ bọn họ xuống núi chúng ta đi tiếp cũng không muộn, cứ để mọi người nghỉ ngơi thêm một hồi đi." Lưu Thiên Hổ ngạc nhiên nói: "Lên núi?" Ý ngẩng đầu nhìn núi ngập ngừng nói: "Đỉnh núi này trơ trọi, không có gì, lên núi làm gì?" Dương Lăng chỉ vào đám cỏ siêu vẹo ven đường nói với y: "Chỉ có điều đám cỏ đã bị các binh sĩ dẫm đạp một hồi, hoàn toàn không còn hình dạng, cũng không nhìn ra được có gì kỳ lạ." Nghe xong sự nghi hoặc của Dương Lăng, Lưu Thiên Hộ không khỏi bật cười, chắp tay nói với Dương Lăng: có lẽ gần đây là nhân vừa đánh trận vừa thẩm vấn, tập trung tinh thần quá độ cho nên sinh ra lòng nghi ngờ. Sườn núi của ngàn năm này thi thoảng chỉ có những mảnh vỡ phong hóa rơi xuống, khiến hoa cỏ siêu vẹo, cũng không đáng ngạc nhiên. Huống hồ lại có cách thương đừng lại lấy nước rửa mặt hay gì đó, vì thế cũng không có gì kỳ lạ. Đại nhân xem sườn núi này, leo lên từ lúc trên thì lại không thành vấn đề, nhưng đỉnh núi này giống như mái hiên, chúng ta trú ở dưới, có kẻ xấu đứng bên trên có thể làm gì? Chưa kể bảo hộ đại nhân là trách nhiệm của hạ quan. Lúc khởi hành, Lý Sâm đại nhân 3 lần 4 lượt căn dặn, không tiếc bất kỳ giá nào cũng phải đảm bảo sự an toàn của đại nhân. Đại nhân đã lo lắng thấp thỏm thì như vậy đi. Một lát đại nhân dẫn thân binh đi xuyên qua rừng trúc, hạ quan dẫn đội xe nghi trường đi đường lớn. Chúng ta đi qua khỏi hiểm địa đỉnh cây quang này, rồi lại hội hợp, cứ thế mà đi. Hiện tại mặt trời hơi lệch đang chiếu trên con đường cuối thu, nắng gắt chiếu vào người. Đại nhân đi trong rừng trúc vừa mát mẻ lại còn có thể thưởng thức phong cảnh. Chúng ta đi cách nhau một dòng suối nhỏ. Nếu như có người ma cùng, chúng ta còn có thể hô ứng chi viện lẫn nhau. Đến lúc đi qua 2 dặm đường hiểm này, chúng ta lại hội hợp. Dương Lăng nghe ý nói đến xúc động, lại giống như mình thần hồn hấp thần tính, hơi có chút ngại ngùng. Hơn nữa, Lưu Thiên Hậu là tướng lĩnh bản địa, hắn là quen thuộc tình hình hơn mình. Hắn đang định từ chối ý tốt của Lưu Thiên Hậu, thì Lưu Đại Bồng Trùy ở bên cạnh liếm môi dài nói: đại soái, thuộc hạ cảm thấy Lưu Thiên Hậu nói có lý. Chúng ta đi trong rừng trúc, vừa mát lại nhanh. Ngài xem binh của chúng ta, nhất là từ Kinh Sư tới, đi đường núi không bằng binh đất xuyên. Hiện tại đều đầu đầy mồ hôi, tiến vào rừng không phải là phơi mình dưới mặt trời. Trong khi vượt qua sườn núi này, ngọn núi phía trước kia không phải đã chuyển hướng sao? Ánh nắng không thể trực tiếp chiếu chúng ta rồi. Dương Lăng luôn rất thân cận với thủ tổng cục thuộc hạ, bằng không Lưu Đại Bồng Trùy cũng không dám mở miệng kể khổ với đại soái. Dương Lăng liền thuận nước đẩy thuyền đáp ứng luôn, bởi vì nếu hắn không đi, thân linh của hắn có vẻ mệt, có nóng, cũng sẽ không rời hắn nửa bước. Đợi Ngô An Siêu dẫn người từ trên núi xuống, trên đỉnh núi không phát hiện gì khác thường. Điều này khiến mọi người càng yên tâm, sự nghi ngờ trong lòng Dương Lăng cũng mất đi 8 thành, chỉ cho là mình đa nghi. Nhưng đã đáp ứng với Lưu Thiên Hộ và Đại Bồng Trùy. Giờ phút này, chỉ có sửa miệng cũng không phải suy nghĩ, thế là hắn vẫn theo đề nghị của Lưu Thiên Hộ chia binh 2 đường. Lúc Lưu Thiên Hộ hạ lệnh cho quân đội tập hợp, các binh sĩ đều lộn xộn chạy ra ngoài. Dương Lăng và 300 thân binh của hắn thì không đi ra từ trong rừng, mà vì muốn ổn thỏa, Lưu Thiên Hộ còn để lại cho hắn 200 người chia làm 3 đội, phân biệt bảo vệ ở phía trước, phía sau của thân quân Dương Lăng và ở trong rừng rậm phòng ngừa vạn nhất. 2 đội nhân mã cùng tiến về phía trước, cách con suối và rừng trúc. Mắt thấy đội phía trước sắp đi ra khỏi mắt kê quan, Dương Lăng cũng cảm thấy ý nghĩ kỳ quái lúc nãy của mình quả thật quá mất cẩn thận. Nếu cứ theo ý mình ở tại chỗ chần chừ, lương thực mang theo của hơn 2.000 nhân mã không nhiều, thế thì sẽ phải đói bụng ở trong núi rồi. Đúng lúc này, có mấy tiếng nổ mạnh vang lên như sấm rền, sau đó một loạt tiếng ầm ầm, toàn bộ núi đá sập xuống. Những ngọn đá lớn nhỏ rơi xuống, có mấy tảng rơi xuống